Hey everyone. Welcome to Ghosts of Bacon, episode 24. I'm your host, Jake Roberts, and here we are already shaping up here on this Sunday evening, February the 20th of 2022. And what I have for you tonight is another Back to Basics episode of Ghosts of Bacon. And what that means is, well, I'm not going to be doing a big deep dive into Baconian ciphers tonight. I'm just going to be. What I really wanted to do was this episode is called "The Quest for the Sacred Tau," and I'm going to demonstrate what that really means in terms of Sir Francis Bacon. And by the end of it, what I hope to do is discuss what it means for us. And this is something that is very, very important to me. Um, I want to give a couple of quick shout outs here. Already, I saw, a couple of our, um, usual folks. Thanks for joining me tonight, gang. I want to give a big shout out to one of our group members, Mary Molsky. Mary, you were the first one to pop on tonight and said good evening to me. Thank you so much. What I really want to thank you for, I believe it was you, because on Amazon.com, it only says Mary M, but you're the only Mary M I know. And you gave me a 5-star review of my latest book, The Oak Island Treasure Map, which I have here. And you gave me such a nice review. Thank you so much. And gang, if you like what I do, if you like, and I'm basically working off my script here. I actually wrote a little bit of a script tonight. Usually I'm just going off the cuff, but I jotted down a few notes tonight because there were a few things I wanted to make sure that I didn't forget to do. Those of you who have private messaged me and have told me that I don't promote my books enough. Thank you. I forget because I get so involved in doing this that I really enjoy it. And so I even put obviously a row of books behind me. I've seen other podcasters do that and people on TV and stuff. So I decided to just, imitate what works. But, thank you for reminding me that the reason why I started doing this, gosh, Mary, thanks so much. I appreciate you very much. Seriously, thank you very much. I appreciate that. So yeah, I'm seeing the whole gang here. Amy, Awoken One, Linda, my friend, good to see you. I wanted to make sure that I started out the show saying thank you. And a lot of you have been messaging me saying, Jake, you forget to plug your books. It's true. I do. I mean, I put it up there as the beginning part of the show and stuff like that. But other than that, I really don't talk about it very much. But if you like what I do, if you like the podcast, if you like my books, please do me a favor. Go to Amazon, write a review, positive, negative, whatever. I don't care. I just want the feedback. The more reviews I get, what I can do is it opens up avenues for me to begin to promote them. Okay, on that platform. We're currently working on getting it on Barnes and Noble as well, but right now I only want to focus on one thing at a time. So those of you who have sent me those private messages, thank you very much. I appreciate your support more than you know. And so quickly looking at a lot of Stephanie Peterson, I just saw that you popped on. If you folks have not checked out her YouTube channel, you need to, because Stephanie, the work you're doing is just what's the phrase the kids are using now? Off the hook, off the chain, whatever. It's so good. Okay, so listen, everyone, if you haven't checked out Stephanie's YouTube channel recently, you really need to subscribe to her and follow the work that she's doing, because it's Eh, Stephanie, you're doing groundbreaking work, and I can't commend you enough. Can't wait to have you on the show again sometime real soon. Maybe we'll talk about the Durer image. That would be fun. That we messaged about earlier. So yeah, one of the things I wanted to talk about tonight. This episode is called um, "The Quest for the Sacred Tao." I'm going to talk tonight about what the Tao really is. But as I started this whole experience, one of the things that has happened to me is a part of it is just this, this weird form of synchronicity that happens. But it's also that once you start delving into that stuff, oh, Stephanie, you're very welcome. I mean, that's just goes without saying. Um, oh, Linda asked, can we get the link to Stephanie's channel or the name of the channel? Stephanie, if you want to post that in our chat, what I'll do is I'll put that up on the screen for people so they can go and subscribe to you, because I mean your information is just so good. It's a whole nother level, gang. Um, so as soon as you post that, I'll put that up on the screen. What I wanted to say was, Stephanie, you're just one example of what this work for me has opened up, because it's allowed me to cross paths with, people of such a caliber of research. Let me go ahead and put that up. There you go, gang. That's Stephanie's YouTube channel. So maybe it's there in our chat, our live chat. So copy and paste it, and you can go ahead and go there while I'm rambling on. Um, you know, it's offered me the opportunity to meet quality people like Stephanie, like Jason Mercer, uh, and William Russell, who I'm going to be commenting on. Both of you guys later in this episode. My good friend Court Lindahl. Court, you are a national treasure as far as I'm concerned. Your research is. Stephanie's like, don't go there now. Go after the show. No, go there now. It's okay. You can listen to me drone on and on while you go and multitask. I don't care. Um, I've met amazing people. Court, Gretchen Cornwall. Oh my gosh, John Edwards, my good friend. At this point, I think we're talking a couple of times a week, and whenever we talk, we kind of lean in, and our heads both explode because we're like, what? And we share information that blows each other's minds every single time we talk. It's and Tonight, this quest for the sacred Tao, I'm going to be invoking John's phrase that he uses quite a bit. And if you've been watching him with Jeff Freeman uh, on Oak Island and beyond, he keeps invoking this phrase. He says it takes a village. And tonight, what I'm going to do is I'm going to invite everyone on this quest with me. And because it's going to take all of us to unravel all this stuff, gang. There is so much to unpack. I can't even begin to tell you some of the stuff that between all of these people I've just mentioned, we were constantly messaging each other, and the kinds of things that I'm unpacking and finding. I don't have enough lifetimes. Okay. I just have this one life. Okay. There's only one of me. But there is so much information out there that is right there, hidden in plain sight. That tonight, what I really want to do is invite all of you to come along on my little crazy train of thought here. And so, like I said, I invite all of you to, if you haven't liked and follow, if you're not following Court Lindahl on his YouTube channel, make sure you do that. Gretchen Cornwall, her blog is phenomenal. Her I believe she has a YouTube channel as well that I follow. All of these really, really cool people that I've met after writing my book and sharing it with people. It's been a really wonderful experience, and I can't thank you all enough. All of the people who have joined my group here on Facebook, the Ghosts of Bacon, um, and all of you messaging me and telling me that I need to promote, my website and stuff. Thank you for that, and my books. The first book is The Holy Trinity Decryption. You see up above my bald head here. Um, if you're interested in the cipher systems of Sir Francis Bacon, I think that is the book for you. If you don't care about all of the cipher information and the math, then the Oak Island Treasure Map, that's the book for you. As far as I'm promoting myself tonight. But overall, I what I really wanted to do was just kind of pitch the books, but I also wanted to give shout outs to the people who I've encountered along this journey, and just people I really enjoy. And I enjoy thinking with all of you, all of our conversations we have. Thanks so much. I appreciate you very much. Um, let's see. This is why I don't do scripts usually, because I don't like following scripts. I like just kind of, winging it. But um, if you haven't had a chance, on Oak Island Beyond podcast, the other day they were supposed to have Graham Phillips on, and basically what happened was, they basically got hit with a category 3 hurricane in England, of all things, in Wales. And so his power was out. He couldn't join the podcast. If you haven't had a chance, I couldn't watch live yesterday, unfortunately. But I watched it this morning with my morning coffee, and you know, Jeff Freeman, John Edwards, and Gretchen Cornwall put on an amazing show in his absence. I want to tell you, if you haven't had a chance to check that out, make sure you watch that podcast that they did yesterday, because um, it's just groundbreaking information all the time, especially when it comes to John Edwards and Gretchen Cornwall. Their book that they're coming out with very soon, hopefully very soon, because I'm really looking forward to this, you too. The Magnum Mysterium and the Case for Oak Island. How cool is that title? That was so good. And yeah, I wish I could see your name, but yeah, the answer is on page 33. Go figure. Isn't that funny? Yeah, Ray, that was such a good show. You know, I, we watch all of these different podcasts, because let's face it, when I was a kid, we had 2 or 3 channels that we could actually get on our TV, and we were able to watch TV together as a family every night of the week. It was nice family time, and it was good quality television. We have hundreds of channels now, and there's nothing on, right? But now we have all of these podcasts. We have all these different options for us to watch. Oak Island and Beyond, Quest of Oak Island. We have Could It Be? With uh, you know the whites. So many good options just to sit and watch. Really cool stuff every evening, and we can just go directly to it, not have to wait for it to be on. Um, that's good stuff. And so I'm hoping that what we can do is, as sort of like I'm kind of a spin-off of the Oak Island community. That's how I view myself. I don't view our podcast or our group as an Oak Island group per se, but there's a lot of overlap there, because one of the main messages that I discovered leads us to Oak Island. By the way, that's going to be what I'm going to talk about in a couple of weeks. I'm going to actually go over the Oak Island treasure map for you. So that could be a deep dive before I do that show. Make sure you go back and review Bacon Ciphers 101. That's one of my early podcasts. I might have to redo that because I really didn't know what I was doing back then. And so, I think I have a banner that keeps scrolling across the bottom of that entire video for an hour that says, uh, Ghosts of Bacon will start shortly. The one that I do at the beginning of the show because I forgot to shut it off. Um, but yeah, you know, it, yeah, Awoken One, make sure that you check it out because it's worth watching. Let's face it, it's Gretchen Cornwall and John Edwards, and so there's nothing that isn't going to be mind blowing in that episode. So um, I think that's everything on my script, gang. I want to go into. I'm going to go ahead and do my little dog and pony show here. Yeah, Amy. That's just it right there, gang. Amy, you're hitting the nail on the head because let's face it, when it comes to people just doing their own thing and putting their stuff out there, that is so much more entertaining for me than anything is on television. So let me go ahead and share my screen with you folks. Oops. Let me kind of escape out of that. Let's start on the first slide instead of the last one, gang. How's that for authenticity, huh? There we go. So tonight, what I wanted to talk to you about is the quest of the sacred Tao. What does this mean to Sir Francis Bacon? What does the Tao mean? Well, the Tao is truth. And when it comes to this idea of the sacred Tao, Tav is the 22nd letter in the Hebrew alphabet. And it's also the last letter in the word truth in Hebrew. And this is highly symbolic because what this means is you don't really know the truth until after everything is played out, right? So you get to the end of the word truth, and now you know what the truth really is, as opposed to what we project, what we think it might be into the future, or our imposition of our own thoughts on something. No, when after we experience reality at the end of the day, we know the truth of that moment. And so, like I said, the Tav is the last letter of the word truth in Hebrew, and that's very symbolic. We don't really see what the truth is until after the fact. Now, for Francis Bacon, truth was symbolized by the idea of light. And he used the letters A and O to symbolize this idea of light and truth. Now, when we look at an A, this is light shining downward, right? So when we see it from the side, we see it starting at a point and then radiating down, right? If we look at it from above the way God would see it, it's the circle, it's the horizon. So you're looking down on a circle of light. And I don't know about you, but it brings to mind the Alpha and Omega, the idea of light and truth. Now, here's the cool part about Alpha and Omega, and then this is the symbolism of what that really means. Alpha is the word that creates creation. Okay, it's the plan, the inception of when you start on something. The alpha, it's the beginning point. Omega is the end point and the fruition of the execution of that plan. In other words, you start with a plan and then you create it. Omega is the creation. And within the creation, you can actually see the plan. And Bacon believed that because of this, we would come to understand the mind of the creator, God. He believed you were able to see God in creation by studying the Omega. Pretty cool, right? So when it comes to the way he manifested this, he when we look at the sacred Tau in simple reverse and fourfold ciphers, I didn't include K cipher. Those of you who are paying attention, who have watched a lot of my podcasts and are familiar with my work, K cipher. When it comes to the sacred Tau, is exactly the same as simple. It's the number 19, and that's what we're going to talk about first. T is the number 19 in simple cipher and K cipher. So when we look, and so there are a lot of messages that I've decrypted where Francis Bacon referred to himself as T. Now, that's because the 19th prime number is 67. And we all know now, because you've watched the show a lot, you've read my books, you probably have gone to a lot of websites talking about Baconian ciphers. 67 is the value of the name Francis in simple cipher. So it's a cipher signature of Francis. So in fourfold, the triple Tau, fourfold cipher, the triple Tau is, again, 67 Francis in simple cipher. A lot of people have attributed the double Tau to mean the initials of the word 33, the number 33. And this works. I totally agree with it 100%. However, I think that through my research, I may have discovered a new meaning for that I'm not going to be sharing this evening. But also 19, or the triple Tau, is also the letter F, using the at-bash substitution system between Bacon's simple cipher and reverse cipher. Okay, so F is number 19 in reverse cipher. And so therefore those letters can be substituted for one another. So it's the initial of Francis. Inherent within the Tau is also the truth about his parents. And he uses his cipher systems to reveal that, as I've explained in other episodes. Now, the quest for the sacred Tau, the quest for the truth. And so tonight, what I'm going to do is give you an overview of where I've been, where I am, and where I think I'm going in the future in terms of this quest of the truth. And so at the very beginning, all of you are very familiar with this image of the plaque on Shakespeare's funerary monument. This is what started me on all of this, because I decrypted the ciphers that were encrypted within this. It pointed me in all the right directions to where I am today. One of the things that initiated this was the idea of investigating Oak Island. My friend, my dear friend Chris Dona, who passed this fall, and Christopher Morford, they were looking at this plaque and Dona said, "Hey, well, you should really take a look at this and see what you can find." And so that's what really started this out. And I wasn't expecting actually to even find a real message about Oak Island, but obviously I did, and that's what led to the book, The Oak Island Treasure Map. But what it really did was it revealed Francis Bacon's true identity as Francois III of France. He was the son of Francis II. He was the son of Mary, Queen of Scots, and Francis II. This is the central message that keeps repeating over and over again from these cipher texts. So with this as a starting point, as soon as I knew this information, everyone, everything started to unlock. These were actual keys to understanding the mystery around Sir Francis Bacon. Obviously, the message appears that, Bacon wrote Shakespeare. And I'll be talking about that, before the end of this presentation. The other message that came through loud and clear was some of his aliases, and which leads us to this next slide. As crazy as this sounds, gang, those of you who haven't read my book, please don't think that this bare assertion that I'm making here tonight, how do I say this? I outlay all of the evidence for this. Is Sir Francis Bacon claims that his best alias he ever had was Samuel de Champlain. This is crazy. Okay, this is cuckoo. What is it? Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Yeah, that's the phrase I'm looking for. Until we look at this self-portrait of Samuel de Champlain, a picture he drew of himself, where we have a 55, which is the value of Francis Bacon in short cipher, where we have a 33, 1 3 on top of the other. We have the letter G, which is 33. We have the hammer, the gun, which is a G. We have his eye, which is a T, and his nose, which is an I, which is an S. Which way, if we substitute, using our at batch system, it's actually F, G. G is bacon. But this is all a coincidence until you actually add up all of the examples and corroborating evidence from his 1612 map. This is something I'm going to be going into in a couple of weeks. Now, when you look at his book and his illustrations of that book, I will be outlining a ridiculous amount of cipher evidence that points to the fact that, as crazy as it sounds, Samuel de Champlain was Bacon's best alias. Also, he alludes to on the map the Isle of the Lions of the Sea, and I was able to corroborate this name of an island from a completely different source. This is Oak Island, Nova Scotia, gang, and I talk about that in the Oak Island treasure map. So, like I said, my next show in a couple of weeks, I'm going to be doing a deep dive into Samuel de Champlain, his 1612 map, and all of the cipher evidence that says that Sir Francis Bacon not only was Samuel de Champlain, but he created that map. I know it sounds crazy. I know it, but I'm going to be showing you all of the evidence on the next show. So this also, all of this information led me to a lot of unnamed artists. Now, here you see, obviously, Nicholas Hilliard. But one of the things that I found as I started doing all of this research is there were a lot of portraits of people in Bacon's circle, and they were all painted by either Nicholas Hilliard or unknown or unnamed artists. And suddenly I was able to identify cipher messages on all of these portraits. And this led to a understanding a system of what they used, of how they showed or communicated, if you will, who they truly were. And it's through a system of signatures and ciphers. And here you see this one was actually scratched. Can you see that? This actually is a double A symbol. It was an H and an X, the Nicholas Hilliard signature monogram. So one of the things you're going to have to do too is when we start looking at these portraits, you have to start questioning dates and then the ages that are also listed of these people, because this is not necessarily the correct date that this was painted on. They were using dates as a signature system where they could add the first 2 digits with the second 2 digits and leave a cipher signature. So it's really pretty interesting. Usually dates, ages, and also family mottos, if you will, contain signatures. I'll be talking about that in depth. And they also contain messages. So here, the next thing that it led me to was the Fama Fraternitatis, the Confessio, and the chemical wedding of Christian Rosenkreuz, the what are called the Rosicrucian manifestos. Okay, so the cipher text within the plaque of Shakespeare's funerary monument, the biliteral cipher makes the explicit statement that Walter Raleigh was the key to the RC. So in order to really understand the fraternity of the Rosy Cross, Fra Rosy Cross, we had to really look closely at Walter Raleigh. So that's where my current research is. I'm really diving deeply into him. The Fama Fraternitatis actually has a list of the members of the Rosy Cross, and it's basically a series of initials, no names, just initials. And my next book, the Ghosts of Bacon, I outline the purpose of all of those letters. So it also talks about the great work, and particularly with when it comes to the chemical wedding of Christian Rosenkreutz. Um, and in my humble opinion, um, I believe that the great work involves uh, taking the value of the sun associated with Agrippa's magic squares. That is the 6 by 6 magic square. Uh, the constant for the magic square, 6 by 6 magic square, is 111, which is obviously Bacon in K cipher. We take the sun, we add it to the value of the moon, Luna. That magic square, it's the 9 by 9 magic square of Agrippa. Its constant is 369. You add them together, you get 480. That's the value of Rex Francois Stuart III in K cipher. Now, I firmly believe that the purpose of the quote unquote great work, the alchemical great work, really was trying to get Francis on the throne of France. But also, when you read The Chemical Wedding of Christian Rosenkreutz, I encourage you all to make sure you just go online. You can find an English a translation of that. When you look at the invitation that he receives from an angel, it's written it has a blue background and gold lettering. The symbolism is pure Baconian symbolism. The message itself actually equals a Bacon signature, but it's a blue background with gold lettering. This looks just like the artwork of Nicholas Hilliard, and so the description of it you actually have to picture in your head. My research also led to the King James version of 1611. Now, a lot of you were here live for my interview with John Edwards, and it, it it was phenomenal. John and I, when we get together, it's this back and forth where we constantly say, "Oh, hey, have you seen this? Have you seen this?" And we're always kind of like, our minds are being blown. Um, and what happened was, someone watched this and they were like, "Well, I'm going to take a look at the um, King James version of 1611 of the Bible and see what I can find." And we'll talk about that in a second. But I found a bunch of cipher signatures and clues in the frontispiece of it. There's so many alignments when you do geometry on it. It's just so cool. So this is where another aspect of this research has led me. It's full of signatures. There are significant pages here in the King James version. This is Psalms 46, which John Edwards broke down for us in that episode. If you haven't seen it, make sure you go back on my YouTube channel and check it out because his work is just so cool. My friend William Russell, William was a member of our group who saw this episode, and next thing you know, he messages me. He's like, "Hey, Jake, I don't want to bother you, but this is what I found on page such and such of the King James Bible." And I looked at it. I'm like, "William, this is amazing work." And he keeps churning it out. And so William and I have become friends through this whole process. He's one of those people who has taken, my work and just kind of run with it and just to see what he can find. And it was so funny. He found some really cool stuff and he says, "This is just so much fun." I'm like, "I know, it's upset." After a while, you kind of get connected to it and stuck with it. And then he found the word sonnets on a specific page. And then he believed he found some numbers associated with those sonnets. Yeah, that happened. And so it really is like an episode or one of those movies of National Treasure or the Da Vinci Code, where one clue leads to the next, leads to the next. And I started looking at the sonnets. So there's so much more work to do, gang. And this is really what tonight's episode is about. What do we do next? Well, this is where I'm looking right now at Shakespeare sonnets, and I've already made amazing discoveries. And again, it's because other people took the work that we were doing and said, "Have you looked at this? Have you looked at this?" And William pointed my attention to a couple of the specific sonnets, and I've been able to get this identify the fair youth of Shakespeare sonnets. I know exactly who the fair youth is. I'm not going to announce that tonight. For those of you who don't know, there's an association with Shakespeare sonnets where he is giving advice to this young, handsome man who, he sounds like he's a teenager. In fact, he was actually 18 years old. I'll tell you that much. And there have been a lot of interpretations of Shakespeare's relationship with the fair youth. All of them are wrong, and I now know the exact relationship, and I know who this person is. And it's all due to the work of John Edwards and William Russell. And again, the fair youth is not who anyone thinks it is, and there's the nature of their relationship is nothing like what other people think. There's another person associated with Shakespeare sonnets, which is the Dark Lady. And because of figuring out who the fair youth is, I was able to figure out also who the Dark Lady is. And again, there's a lot of speculation, a lot of research out there about who these individuals are. But because the fact that ciphers contain truth, I know who these people are now. And I'll be sharing that with you in my next book, The Ghosts of Bacon. And again, this person is not what people think she actually is. So there are so many messages in the sonnets. I can't even really begin. Uh, William messaged me. We were chatting yesterday, and he says, "Well, now you're going to have to write a book about the sonnets." And I said, "Well, I think I need a few more lifetimes to add on to." I mean, I don't know how Bacon did all of this in just one lifetime, and how his associates, including, by the way, Anthony, Ben Jonson, uh, uh, or Walter Raleigh, and later William Raleigh. So I don't know how they were able to do all of this, but definitely the one specific. I'm only going to be talking about one specific sonnet in my next book that supports one of my findings that I think is really going to drop a lot of jaws. I wish I could share that with you tonight. I wish I could share it with you this year, but I'm not going to be sharing this information until my book is out and I have all of the documentation that supports it. So, um, moving on, I think one of the areas where we really need to look is in Raleigh's History of the World. There's a message here in this frontispiece, in this image, that I found that I think that people will think is really cool. And again, that's going to be in this next book. One of the things that maybe I can point people in the direction of, Walter Raleigh, one of his signatures, his cipher signatures, is actually 34. Just like Bacon's 33, Raleigh had 34. Okay. So associated with that, if we look at K cipher, the value of 33 is G, which we all know. But the value of 34 is H. Okay. And not only that, if we use the add-bash substitution system, H can be R for Raleigh. And so I those of you who are thinking about taking some of my work and starting to look at this stuff, I'm encouraging people tonight. Please start doing that. We need help. This is just so much. This is so big and so much bigger than me. I'm a little hobbit here in the Shire, and those of you who actually know me personally and know how tall I'm not, you know how funny that is. Um, but let's start looking at 34. Also, and it's a signature in Elizabethan short cipher. Those of you who don't know what that is, make sure that you go back to my Back to Basics Ciphers 101 series. and look at that. And you can also find I have those resources on my website as well under the resources tab. Uh, Elizabethan short cipher seems to be the one that Sir Walter Raleigh really favored. He it looks like he used that one more than all of the others. I mean, he used the values of the others, but when it comes right down to it, I think that when he this is the one that he tended to use. Also, what if I were to tell you that we may have figured out the meaning of Croatoan? This, of course, is the famous word that was carved into the tree of Jamestown settlement, the lost settlement of Virginia, and I think we may have figured that out. That's pretty cool. So, um, this presentation this evening, I'm calling it a call to arms. I want people to dig in. I try to find a good propaganda poster. This is a World War II propaganda poster, but where I want people to dig in to these ciphers and use all of the work that I've done to help us out. Let's all kind of attack this and see what we can find. And again, right now, people who have done exactly that, Jason Mercer, his work, if you've been in a lot of the other Facebook groups, along with the Ghosts of Bacon, his work is just top notch. And the approach that he takes, particularly when it comes to engravings and paintings and images, and the way he uses sort of a architectural approach to an image of how you divide it up using geometry, really reveals a lot of cool stuff. And then again, I mentioned William Russell. William, you're always so humble when we chat online, because you say, "Oh, I'm just kind of flailing around." But no, the work that William's doing is just top notch, good stuff. And John Edwards, of course, he's got his hands in everything. John, where do you find the time? I want to know, because right now he's co-authoring that book with Gretchen Cornwall. He's making a documentary with Court Lindahl. I may or may not be involved in that. That's about all I can say. And so, John, you're everywhere. You're doing the podcast with Jeff. So far, we're the ones that are really looking at this stuff. So listen, gang, what I'm asking you to do is use the tools, that I outline in my books, and start applying it. Okay. See what you can find, because this is, it's not just an amazing journey. It's a fun hobby. And every time William finds something, he says, "This is so much fun," and it really is. So again, this is a much better way of spending a weekend, instead of sitting in front of the TV and watching a game or something. But go back and look at Ciphers 101. I have a feeling I'm going to do a reprise of that presentation, and hopefully do it a little bit better and do it better justice, so that people can use this information and see what they can find. So, the sacred Tao, truth in today's world. What do we do? Here, this is an image of Plato's allegory of the cave. And in Plato's allegory, you have a series of prisoners or slaves who are chained to the floor. Their heads, they can't turn their heads, and they're only able to look at the cave wall. Behind them is a fire. And then between the fire and them is this little roadway where puppeteers carry shapes for them to kind of just tell a story. All right. And then the people here, this is the only world they've ever known. And so what they do is they learn to identify the shape, and then they, based upon prior experience, they try to guess and predict what shape is going to come next. And then they try to create a narrative or a story with all of these shapes. And the person who's really good at predicting what's going to come next and remembering, sort of a pattern, that person is the smartest person in the room. Um, well, listen, everyone, this is us. We are those slaves in the cave, and the shadows of the puppeteers on the wall in front of us usually appear on the television, frankly. And so it's not until one of these slaves is actually freed and he crawls out of the cave. He turns around, he sees the puppeteers, he sees the fire, and he sees what's going on, how this has been done to them. And then he crawls out of the cave and squints into the sunlight. And at first, he can only, look at things that are in the shadow. Then he looks at reflections in the water. And then finally, he's able to look up the sky and actually see the sun in the sky, which represents the pure, unadulterated truth. Light is truth. So the average person, who, sits on their couch watching television is much like this person in the cave. They're watching these shadows float across the screen by puppeteers, and that's what they accept as being reality, as the truth. Um, the big thing I want to, and this is something that Bacon definitely would have advocated. A lot of people think, well, it's how you see things. It's all relative. It's not relative. Truth is truth. 2 and 2 make 4. Given that, that's a famous quote from the book 1984. What it involves is critical thinking. And so if we're going to pursue this Bacon's sacred Tao, we need to employ our critical thinking skills. And what that involves is understanding, our own cognitive biases, particularly confirmation bias. We tend to look for information that we already agree with. When we hear information that we already agree with, we just accept it unquestioningly. If we're presented with information that runs counter to what we've always believed, we place undue scrutiny on that information, even if it's actual fact and truth. And so a lot of times people will reject that because it disagrees with the reality, disagrees with how they want the world to be. And so this is, and people always ask me, it's like, well, in today's world, when we look at how skewed our media is, for example, how social media just creates echo chambers, and people follow the people they like and block the people they don't. Um, so, how do you do that? Well, you have to take into account that you already have assumptions in your head that may or may not be true. And you just need to take facts and follow logic. And to do that, you also have to learn what logical fallacies are, and what they look like. Because logical fallacies, everyone, are basically lies. If you are watching television and you see the news, the evening news, using logical fallacies, then you know that what they're saying isn't true. Now, you might not know what the real truth is in that story, but you know what the lies are. So we can dismiss the lies. And after we dismiss the lies, we're able to start to find the truth. Um, so hopefully, when we are on the hunt of the sacred Tao, hopefully, we're able to pursue that as a path. And it's funny. One of my closest friends is a local pastor, and he's my workout buddy. And so it's nice. I don't have to go to his church because he brings it to me when we're lifting weights. And so one of the things that he said just this week was, and it just hit me. Um, he believes that there is a spiritual war going on, and he thinks that spiritual warfare is really about um, replacing truth, taking truth and replacing lies with truth. Every time you're able to do that with others, and especially with yourself, the lies that we're taught to believe about ourselves that actually aren't true. If you can replace them with the truth, that's where healing takes place. And so it just he's a brilliant guy, and I think that is um, one of the things that we should take away with ourselves. The other thing too, and I'm gonna scroll back. Wait, you guys didn't see the slides? Oops. Um, what I was getting at is this idea of yeah, yeah, Ray. I think you're right. Oh, gang, I'm so sorry you didn't see the slides. Totally screwed that up. That's funny. Nice. You didn't miss much. It was just words, and a couple of pictures. But at the end of the day, um, it's one of those things where uh, I was just casting shadows on the wall for you anyway. So I was a puppeteer this evening. Um, yeah, I wanted to give John Edwards a shout out because he keeps saying that it takes a village. It does, and I need help. And this is tonight. I really wanted to talk about a uh, basically a call to arms. This idea of and the worst part was it's like while I was presenting it, I couldn't flip back. So now I know why what happened, or I know what happened there. Well, thanks, Linda. But the problem is I had no idea what I looked like the whole entire time because all I could see was my slideshow. So it's funny. I can't believe you guys stuck with me through that. That's embarrassing. Oh, that's great. But yeah, John is spot on. It takes a village, and so what I'm really trying to get people to do is to um, there are a lot of websites, there are a lot of people on the internet who talk about you know Bacon ciphers and these are his signatures and these are what these numbers mean and those kinds of things. But uh, what I tried to do was actually take the ciphers and apply them to something, and it worked. And so yeah, I think that if more people would do that. And like I said, we have John, you do it, Jason, you've been doing it for longer than anyone else in the group so far. William, you've been doing it, and Linda. I would like to help, but I don't even understand enough to know where to start. You know what, Linda? The thing is that you probably understand better than you think you do. Okay. That's remember I talked about this idea of taking a lie and replacing it with the truth. That might be a lie you're telling yourself. Okay. Um, and so what I want to see people do is say, you know what, maybe I can try to do this. And I swear, gang, as soon as you try and you apply to it, um, the idea is that y more people will be applying the stuff to what they're seeing in front of them, and as soon as you do that, we're gonna learn more information far more quickly, and more than don't just wait for me to do it because I'm just one person. Yeah, I'm obsessed with it. Yeah, I work on this stuff every day, um, but at the end of the d at the end of this whole thing, um you know, I'm just one person. And you have to understand that there was a small little core group of the fraternity of the Rosy Cross. It was Francis Bacon, it was Sir Walter Raleigh, it was Anthony Bacon, probably Ben Jonson. And so you have this small group of people, but they produced a ridiculous amount of work. And so I think that the more eyes we have on this, and this is why I'm so happy that other people have taken my work and just kind of run with it. I'm really trying to encourage other people to do the same thing. So that's the quest. That's the quest we're on. And Amy, thank you so much. Yeah, friends don't abandon friends. That's very true. Thanks so much. Yeah. Well, hey, it happens. And there's Jenny. Hello. So, right now, what I want to do is open up to questions. What do we do next? Oh, Jason, thanks so much. I'm glad you're here, man. Thanks, buddy. If you try and apply the cipher systems, you just might see things in a unique way others are not. It is exciting. It is exciting, and it's so much fun. And when all of a sudden you see something just kind of unfold, uh, that that's a cool moment when everything just kind of comes together. Um, so there you go. Wait a minute. This is a behave concept or beehive. It's all of us together solving this, as Bacon alludes to in Psalms 46 that John Edwards broke down for us. That's right. I'm assuming that's you, John. Um, a beehive concept, 100%. And so, it's one of those things where, uh, like I said, I'm trying to, narrow the focus. And John was, a good enough friend to tell me. He says, "Hey, listen, Jake, you wrote a book for 0.05% of all readers, um, because let's face it. I mean, yes, I know it's super nerdy, but when I do this podcast and I go into a deep dive and I start explaining, you know, oh, check out this cipher and here's this value and here's what this means. You tend to lose people. And my next episode, I'm going to be diving deeply into the Champlain map, the Oak Island treasure map. And so I'm hoping you're going to join me for that. One of the things that I want people to get out of that is understand that there was a plan in the creation of that map where it really does lead directly to Oak Island. I mean, it's just in preparation for that. Make sure that you, if you are still, kind of feel like you're not understanding how the cipher systems work and all of that, go back to my YouTube channel, watch Bacon Ciphers 101, and rewatch that. It requires effort, folks, but the effort pays off because when you see it, you just can't unsee it. So it's really important that yeah. Well, that's just it, Jason. What maybe instead of me going into the map on the next episode, maybe you come on and share your finds of that one because I think that it's just really, really cool. All the stuff you've been working on is just so good. Maybe I would love to have you come on and do a presentation instead of me doing it because, well, it's easier for me. So I really want you to do your number 61 presentation too because that was just so cool. Yeah, Ray. I remember that direct message you sent me. Just very, very amazing coincidences. And you know what? One of the things that has been happening throughout this whole process, and I'm glad you brought that up, Ray, because it's just bizarre. There's just a series of synchronicities that happen as I'm working on this information. Um, when I was working on my first book, I was working on the De Medici chapter, and then all of a sudden I get this image from Chris Morford via Chris Dona um, of the De Medici coat of arms, but it was a fake one, and it had a message encoded in it that reinforced what I had found. So here's a completely outside corroboration of what I had discovered, and so and just like just like what I've been working on now. I'm working on my Sir Walter Raleigh chapter of the Ghosts of Bacon, and next thing you know, William Russell is messaging me. I'm getting a message from Jason Mercer. I get a phone call from John Edwards, and the corroborating evidence just piles on. It's so bizarre the way that works. So yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, Ray, for sure. Yeah, Jason. The birth date of bacon. Yeah, yeah. Love to have you on and show that if you want to do that. I would rather have you show that than me do the map for sure. My friend Kurtwood Bixon. We all may be the reincarnation of the Fama of Kurtwood. You never know. Maybe we're just floating around in a little snow globe. Um, thanks, Awoken One. That's just it. I really think that the autobiography of Sir Francis Bacon would make an amazing television series. I mean, we're talking Game of Thrones. We're talking, Pirates of the Caribbean. We're talking James Bond 007. That's John D's number. So there's so much going on there. It would be an amazing story for sure. All right, people. Listen, Jason, I'm going to be sending you a message. Hopefully, like we can line something up for the next podcast. I'm glad you're on the mend, my friend. I'm glad you're feeling better. Um, Everyone else, keep replacing the lies with the truth, and take care of each other. And catch up with you all in a couple of weeks. Thanks for joining me tonight. I appreciate you all very much. Thanks. Bye, gang.